Hello everyone, this is Red with RedDragonLeo.com, and I'm first going to go over the charts here, then we'll go look at some of the other political things that are affecting the market right now. As you can clearly see on this chart that is on Cobra's blog of the Qs, we did break the rising trend line of support. This is probably due in part mainly to Apple and Cisco, as they are leaders in the NASDAQ, and they did sell off quite a bit last week, especially on Thursday and Friday of last week. And this is a sign of things to come. As you can clearly see, we are pointing down, and obviously we're way overbought and on this particular chart, and I think the regular market, the SPY and the Dow will follow this, and I think that we are ready. We are at the tipping point to sell off. This is, to me, everything is pointing to a breaking. On this particular chart of the SPY, it shows that it did not break the trend line. There are others charts that show it did break it on the SPX, and didn't break it here on the SPY, so it's questionable whether it broke it or not broke it, but it's certainly showing cracks in the dam, you might say. So VIX wise, you can see here on the VIX chart, the VIX is still in this falling wedge, and it's not it has not broke upward yet. You could argue that this move up and slight sideways down pattern on the SPY or on the SPX is a bull flag, and yeah, technically it is. Just like this move down and sideways consolidation, I guess, could be a weak bear flag. I don't think it is, even though next week is supposed to be a bullish week. Because it's OPEX week. The charts to me are looking, ready to roll back down. When we look at this right here, we basically have had this big run up, pierced above the 200-day moving average, and then come back down and rested right back on it. So, you could call that confirmation. That's 2 weeks above the 200-day moving average, and that is absolutely correct. It can be called confirmation. It broke outside of this channel, or broke above the 200-day moving average, and so, but it, to me, it still looks very weak. It is rolling over here on the RSI, pointing down, and here it's very toppy, and we did clearly put in a lower histogram tower, and yeah, we're not rolling over yet. It's true, here we're not, no question about that. So it still could go up more, at least on the MACD's moving averages. The full stochastic is pointing down now, but that doesn't mean that it can't go sideways some more. It could, it just depends upon, what they want to do with this market. They've clearly manipulated this up, during this time period. We should have corrected back in here. There were numerous times we should have corrected, but did not. I'd said in many videos in the past that I thought we would come up here and put in smaller histogram tower bars, much like this area here, and then roll over again. And we did not do that. We, we just kept on going up higher and higher and higher. And this is the first bar that we've had a lower bar of sell-off. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to keep rolling back down. They could roll this down, and sell off a little next week, and then try to run it back up and put in maybe something similar to this right here, where you've got a higher histogram tower bar and then a lower set as they sold off on the way up, so creating negative divergence, and that would allow it to go on up to that fake print of 11,800 on the Dow, should they try to do that. But there's other indications clearly showing that this is not going to be the case. When you go over to Zero Hedge, you'll see a chart of insider selling that is just absolutely off the charts. I mean, it's just unreal how much insider selling there is. Just massive amounts of insider selling. That to me points to the fact that they're going to tank this market. The when part is always the unknown. We did have a down week. We didn't have a crash this week. I'm glad the false flag event failed. If it was the false flag event with China, supposedly launching that missile, yeah, but I don't think that was the case. I think that's led to speculation by a lot of people, but I think that was a United States submarine off the coast there, and they were the ones that launched the missile. Supposedly, I'm including the video here in the post here that shows that a cruise line ship was disabled, and that it was possibly an EMP pulse from a Chinese submarine, and near the area, and the ICBM that was launched was in retaliation to them doing that. I even think that story is a bunch of crap. I think it's, again, the Federal Reserve Nazi Illuminati gangsters that are trying to stage a war here with China, trying to get the American public ticked off at China by saying it's, Chinese sub there showing their military strength. That's a bunch of crap. We all know each other's military strength. It hasn't changed in decades. We all know we all got nuclear missiles and ICBMs that can launch, and I mean that's been around since the 80s at least, the long-range missiles. So I mean, what's to show there? The United States knows China's power, and China knows our power. It's just kind of a bunch of crap to me. Anyway, as far as the charts are going here, this looks very, very similar to this move right here. I mean, here you had a big run up, one big push up like here, and it matches up with this big push here. Then you had a down week right here, and the same way here we had a down week. And then the next week was the massive sell-off with the 1,000-point drop in the Dow. So that looks very, very similar, very similar. And is it going to play out exactly like that? Well, we'll only know next week, of course. It's hard to say, but with those insiders selling like that at record volumes, I can't see how next week they're going to rally this up. If they manage to rally it up and close it up higher, I would be shocked. As you can see, they did this here tail that you can see shows that they did rally it up at some point in that week, and which is probably early on in the week, and then later in the week that they sold it off, and then of course rallied back on that 1,000-point drop. So we could certainly see the same thing in Monday or Tuesday. Could be an up day. The rest of the week could be a big sell-off, and if it does, we do have support right here coming in here. This is a necktie of support on a weekly basis. That doesn't mean it can't pierce through it during the week, and but it should theoretically close on that support. So maybe we sell off early in the week and rally back up and close on that support. I don't know. It's hard to say. The chart's a little bit mixed. When we go over here to the daily, clearly we are going down here. As you can clearly see, we are now below the zero mark. We are going down. We are also below this moving average. So, here on this chart, same thing. We are pointing down again, pointing down here. But again, we are riding that trend line. Whether it's broken or not is questionable. Here on the daily, it doesn't appear broken. When we go over here to the 60 minute, it does appear broken. So it depends on where you draw these lines. It depends on where you draw these lines. So you draw this line here and keep on going up, and it looks like it broke it and back tested it. So that's questionable. But you can see the 60 is trying to roll back up, but it just can't seem to do it. That should tell you that the trend is certainly changing, because in the past, when we were in an uptrend, a move like this up should have took us up into positive territory the very next day. It failed to do that, and it sold off again here, and then sold off again here. 3 days here in a row, actually 4 when you count this one here, this move here. So you've actually got this move, another move down, try to come back up, another move down, and try to come back up, and another move down. So you actually got like 4 days of it trying to make it back up. That clearly, to me, says a trend change is happening, because you can look back at all these other days and see that pretty much they went down and then they come back up into positive territory. Same thing here on this one, went down, came back up into positive territory. You know, same thing here, and you can see that the difference, how deep the trough low is. This is clear indications that the trend is changing, and it is changing towards the downside. So, but again, this isn't hooked back up yet, but it's hooked up here. It doesn't mean it can't chop around down here. So there's nothing to indicate for sure that we're going to go up on Monday, that this is going to roll up. But I would, expect it being bullish Monday, that it would at least try at some point, whether it's early in the morning, it tries to roll back up, or whether it sells off first in the morning and tries to come back up later in the afternoon, maybe to close flat, slightly negative, maybe slightly positive even. I don't see it doing a whole lot of damage on Monday, because the charts are fighting each other. 30 minutes, kind of the same thing. It's hooking up and wanting to go up, as you can clearly see. It is wanting to go up here, and so same thing. The 30, it should go up a little, at least some, on Monday. Whether or not it does it immediately or falls first and puts in a lower histogram tower here, similar to the 60, and makes a positive divergence, that's possible too. It could kind of go down here and then pop back up, and then into the close maybe rally up a little bit. Again, I don't expect no big rally on Monday. If anything, it'd be flat to slightly down would be my guess. It just depends on this, how far this thing drops and breaks from this trend line. It's going to want to try to retest it, most likely. You draw it here on this one, and you can clearly see it did break the trend line, and this pattern is clearly a bear flag. So will it play out? When these bear flags start playing out on a regular basis, instead of failing like they did on this huge up move, that tells you that the trend is changing. And what will happen is the bull flags will start failing to play out, and the bear flags will start playing out. So should we drop Monday, we should certainly find support in this area. We're right on it right here. This is it bounced off of that horizontal level. So if it plays out, we've got support in this area. So somewhere in this area we should find support and then try to recover back up. If this happens, it's highly unlikely that the week will end positive. I think that a sell-off is coming this week, regardless of it being OPEX week. The 15-minute, as you can see, it is, in oversold conditions, as you can see, trying to rally back up. So it could come down here and try to make its way back up, or it could, if the 30 and 60 push it up, it could keep on going up. So it's all up to, so you got the charts fighting each other. So it's really hard to say what Monday's going to happen. Best guess would be when charts are fighting, short-term and long-term charts, you just really don't want to take no positions in those periods, and you just want to see what happens, because the daily is the strongest one here, and of all the shorter terms, and it is clearly pointing down. So I really can't speculate on Monday other than just a flat, maybe a slightly down day, just based upon a hunch more than anything, just kind of trying to figure these charts out. But as far as the rest of the week, I think it's going to go down. I'm gonna do another video. So